Hey folks, welcome to the channel. I'm Don. This is Rockin' the Country. I don't know this song. You saw the title, but it's Waylon's Song for the Life. That's an unusual title. I hope I have that right, but it was requested by Farm Daddy, who made a gift to the channel for me to move this way up the list so I would absolutely get it done and in fairly short order. So Farm Daddy, shout out to you. Thank you again for the donation and this request. And let's see. You said that this was written by Rodney Crowell, so let's see what this is. And I've done a couple of Rodney's songs. I remember doing a duet. It was either Gillian Welch or it might have been Chris Christopherson. Yeah, I don't know. So you guys will remember. Some of you folks remember so much of what I do. But anyway, let's see what Waylon's doing. Song for the Life. Not for the life of me or Song for Life, but Song for the Life. That's the thing that's captured my attention. Here we go. Interesting beginning for Waylon. But a Rodney Crowell song makes sense.
I don't drink as much as I ought to.
What a voice.
Lately, it just ain't my style, and the hard times don't hurt like they used to. They pass quicker, like when I was a child.
All right, the thing that is getting me in this song right now, because I like to figure out when they put a certain instrument in, why did they put it in? Because we hear songs generally and we're like, oh, that just sounds good or that's interesting or whatever. But this little that's going on, that wasn't just like a whimsical, oh, let's try something that hasn't been done before in a song. There's a purpose to it, and I'm going to try to figure out what it is if I can.
And somehow I've learned how to listen for the sounds like a sun going down.
Nice.
In the magic that morning is bringing, there's a song for the life I have found.
Did continue.
It keeps my feet on the ground.
Nice. Eric Clapton-ish.
The midsummer days ain't so heavy. They just flow like a breeze through your mind.
A lot of nature references.
And nothing appears in a hurry to make up for some old lonesome time. Somehow I've learned how to listen, and it sounds like a breeze dying down. In the magic that morning is bringing, there's a song for the friend I have found. She keeps my feet on
one that was very different for Waylon, and it makes sense that Rodney wrote that. But I'm really glad that I picked up on that he was doing, because if you notice later in the song, after he said, "I've learned to listen," instead of it being the sporadic, it was just a much slower tempo and very steady. And that is consistent with the theme of the song, which is once he learned to listen and he slowed down, he said, it was a beautiful way of wording it about the sun. It sounded like the sun going down after he learned to listen. And what a mind picture. What a beautiful way of putting it, that there's a tranquility there. And then he talked about like a breeze. And breezes generally have this idea, almost like waves of the ocean, having this cleansing effect where it sort of like takes the dust away. You're not thinking about the dust that is blowing at you from over there. It's cleaning things up, the leaves off your lawn or whatever. It has sort of like a cleansing idea about it. And this whole thing is listening, but then there's a woman there who keeps, I think it was something like his mid-afternoons are just very peaceful too. Something like that. Fascinating lyricism, but the instrumentation, it actually all worked together. But it was Rodney with Chris Christopherson, and it makes sense because Chris Christopherson, being the brilliant songwriter he is, it makes sense Rodney as well would be writing and doing work with him, because you listen to a song like this and you're like, oh, that's different. And you have to lean in, and then you're like, whoa, wow, that was amazing. Like so many layers to it. And some people can just do that. But Waylon's voice, I mean, any songwriter would have wanted Waylon to sing a song of theirs, because he just imparts something so unique, so different, so powerful. There's a deep masculinity to it with a sensitivity in his voice too. And that you can't work on that. You either have that or you don't. There's no way of faking that. Yeah, that was beautiful. Farm Daddy, sometimes known as Robert, that was beautiful. But then he tied it all into there being a woman in the end. And of course, but there's a tranquility in this, like a grounding element. But it's fascinating that this was all tied into him having learned to listen. And he said that, he goes, somehow I learned to listen. And I like that somehow, because I didn't used to be a good listener. And I know when I got cured of not being a good listener, it's standard Northeastern way of doing it, I guess. And then even in my own family, you had to fight to get a word in. So if somebody left a quarter of a second open as they were telling a story or something, you jump in and you take off with your thoughts. And then they jump in, and it was constant interruption. But you did learn to listen and pay attention to the flow of conversation. Like you got good at that frenetic pace. But a good buddy of mine and I, Eddie, he's down in North Carolina, and we used to talk a lot. And I remember one time, a couple of years into, we were really good friends, but we would talk on the phone because I'm in Jersey and he's down in outside Asheville in North Carolina. And I remember I was doing my usual, not knowing anything was wrong with it. Just he'd be developing something, but he was slower in developing things and more patient because he's not used to getting interrupted. And I kept jumping in on this one conversation, and I just remember just this low rumble beneath. He just said, "I ain't done talking," and it like blew. I could still feel it now. Like it kind of like, whoa, like I messed up, but I'm not especially slow on the uptake. It doesn't take me much to figure something out. And with that response from my good buddy, I'm like, wow, I must have pushed him over the edge. And I did, and that cured me. Like, so from that moment forward, I realized I got to stop doing this. And we laugh about it now. Believe me, we laugh about it now. But the laughter's at my expense because he shut me down, and appropriately so. But learning to listen, man, there's so much joy in hearing what someone else has to say, because you can validate their life experience by hearing it. Yeah, I mean, you could see where they're coming from. You could understand why they think the way they do, if they vote differently than you, or if it whatever. Like you can hear it and you can respect it. You don't have to agree to it, but you do need to understand it. And one of the worst feelings in life is to be misunderstood. It's a seriously lonely, frustrating, agonizing place to be that somebody or bodies don't understand you. And especially if it's because they don't take the time to listen or process or try to understand you as a human being. And marriages have problems with that, but regular relationships can have problems with that. But I gotta say, gosh, it's a lot of fun going on someone else's journey with them when they're just telling you a story about something that happened in life, in their life, and you're on that journey with them. And I'll speak from my experience. The number of comments I've gotten in the past 15 years or however long it's been since Eddie cured me, it is astounding because so many people have said like you are a good listener, and I'd never heard that prior to being cured. But it wasn't just listening, waiting for my turn to speak. It opened the door up to hear what that person had to say and to identify with it and to say, well, if I was in that situation back on the beach, back at age 16, and this thing happened, what, like, you really understand them. And if you want to connect with another person, understand them. Just understand them and try to remember what you can from it. But you got to slow yourself down. And I love this part in this song as I'm speaking a million miles an hour, but that's kind of my job, to talk to the camera and make sense of these songs. But you can also begin to listen to yourself. Like when you get in that habit of listening to others, you also tend to slow down and analyze your own thoughts. I guess, Dr. Dave, you might call it metacognition, where you're aware of what you're thinking. It's like second order thinking, where, it's consciousness or having a conscience, being aware of what you're thinking and how you're living it out in the world and how people are responding to you and that feedback. But he got the girl in the end in this song. She's the one maybe that cured him. But I love that. Somehow I learned to listen. What a song. I don't know how Waylon decided to do this one. Maybe he asked Rodney to write him a song and he would do it. I don't know how it came about. But Farm Dad, oh, what am I going to rate that, Farm Daddy? Yikes. Wow, the number that popped into my head was a 9.5. That's a song. The instrumentation worked. It was more complex than meets the ear, and the lyricism just spun me out. You could tell, and it made me happy. So there you go. All right, Farm Daddy, thank you again, and I hope I interpreted the song reasonably close to what Rodney intended. And maybe one day Rodney will grace us with his presence. Who knows? Anyhow, all right, folks, leave your comments for Farm Daddy if you so choose, and or me or whomever. And there you go. Have a great day. I'll see you on another video. Keep listening and keep rocking the country.